Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call and find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. Nice little suspenseful delay. Or pause, you might say. All right, welcome in, everybody, on TV and radio. Everybody streaming also. Pick your favorite network, pick your favorite affiliate, or you're independent. Guess what? We're probably there. And, of course, a big welcome into everybody on Chicago Food Favorites over on Facebook as well. Folks, make sure you check that out. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. So, a little bit of ongoings with Major League Baseball. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people are talking about where this guy's going to go, where that guy goes. It always comes back down to the same handful of teams are always making the news. That's what it really seems like. And it's a little bit frustrating to hear the same things over and over. It's the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers. The same teams over and over, right? New York, LA kind of thing. And it just gets a little tiring. But then again, when you see what they're trying to do, and then you see, well, hey, the Yankees try to do this every year and whatnot. And when's the last time it worked? It's been 15 odd years or something like that. And they've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars just to come in second place or worse. And now this time, it's the New York Metropolitans as they eye Garrett Crochet from my beloved Chicago White Sox. And of course, I'm going to give them a round of boos because I want Garrett to stay where he's at. And of course, according to a report in the New York Post, the Mets are discussing Garrett Crochet, who is one of the most likely players to be traded this offseason. And unfortunately, that is probably the case because the White Sox are not in a position to win right now. No, they're just in a position to, well, hopefully not lose 100-plus games. And you ask yourself, well, who are the top 25 free agents really this season? And that's what we really should be thinking about because where could they go? Yeah, we can always figure that one out, but who can afford them? And so, look, the World Series, it's long gone. It's all over with. And, well, the Yankees have joined the rest of the Major League Baseball in turning their attention to the offseason, along with the Dodgers, even though they are the World Series champions. But last year, it was the big discussions were dominated by a pair of players, of course, who wound up together in the Dodgers organization, being Ohtani and Yamamoto. And, of course, the Dodgers blew about $1 billion to get those guys together. And really, it was $700 million for Ohtani and $325 million for Yamamoto. And, well, that's a lot of money. But the Dodgers did win the World Series. And how much is the World Series worth is the bigger question. Did they get $1 billion over the next so many years for those two acquisitions? Never mind everybody else that they basically signed along. It was kind of like let's just see who we could sign. Let's take this guy, let's take that guy, and let's try to put it in a blender and make a nice smoothie. And, well, it actually worked out for the Dodgers. Most teams it doesn't work out for. And so MajorLeagueBaseball.com took a look at those 25 free agents who have the biggest impact, of course, in the offseason. And, well, let's put it this way. When you start at the very top, for some reason, now, look, I like this guy, but I don't think he is the number one free agent. They say it's Juan Soto. Yeah, he's 26, and MajorLeagueBaseball.com says it's extremely rare for a player of Soto's caliber to reach free agency before age 26, making the four-time All-Star a bit of a unicorn of sorts. Bryce Harper, Manny Machado were similar situations after the 2018 season, and each cashed in with giant deals, of course, worth at least $300 million, and that was several years ago. Anyway, Soto's price tag could be significantly higher. I'm not really sure why. I mean, look, the guy hit 288. He had 41 homers, which is good, but he only had 7 stolen bases. He didn't have a huge amount of runs batted in, but he did get on base quite a bit. And for a fair amount of the season, he did hit 300 or better. However, he did not finish at 300. He finished at 288. The 41 homers, yeah, that's good. That's really good. But 7 stolen bases, I would have thought that it would actually be a little bit more for that. But why would he be worth $500, $600, $700 million? Yeah, he's won a couple of World Series, right? One with the Washington Nationals, of course, with the Dodgers too. And he's a good left-handed hitter with a good eye. And he's got a decent glove, but he doesn't have that great of an arm. Everyone says, well, he's got a cannon out there in right field. No, he doesn't. If you watched any of the postseason, you watched his throws in from the outfield when there was a play at third or a play at the plate. I got to tell you, folks, they were 1-hopping, 2-hopping, 3-hopping their target. And to me, a cannon is a guy by the name of Dave Parker. That guy had an absolute rifle. And Juan Soto doesn't have that kind of an arm. It is what it is. So you've got to be a defensive superstar along with being an offensive superstar. And I don't think he's neither of the two. I think he's a Hall of Good kind of a player. But he certainly, in my opinion, is not worth $500, $600, $700 million. No way, not in this lifetime or another lifetime. Because you got to remember, he had Aaron Judge hitting behind him. So he was going to see a lot more very hittable pitches. And what did he do with those? Well, he hit 41 homers. That's quite a few. But what did he do with the rest of them? That's what you got to ask yourself. If he goes somewhere else, who's going to hit behind him? The magic formula is to have somebody that's a better hitter behind him. And that's what he had with the New York Yankees, with Aaron Judge. But what if he goes to, hypothetically, the Cubs? Because the Cubs are looking to get him. Who the Cubs going to put behind him to protect him? Well, guess what? Nobody, because the Cubs don't have a hitter like him in the first place. So that should rule the Cubs out. Same thing with the San Francisco Giants. Who is going to hit behind him? This is the question that you should be asking. And so they say, well, what about the Boston Red Sox? Well, you've got a guy in Rafi Devers that can hit behind Juan Soto. So that may make a little bit of sense. Who else do you have out there with big boppers in that position? Well, we already saw that with the Padres, but the Padres, they don't really have any leadership on that team. So they're a bunch of guys that could play good baseball. But I don't think they have that Aaron Judge kind of guy behind him. Now, the New York Mets may make a little bit of sense because you've got a couple of guys that can hit long balls, namely, of course, will they re-sign Pete Alonso? And Alonso is that guy like Aaron Judge. He can hit him a country mile or so. That may make a little bit of sense, but I don't really see where else this guy could possibly land with that kind of firepower behind him. Maybe the Texas Rangers, because they do have some sticks over there. You can put Adolis Garcia behind him or even in front of him, but you've got Corey Seager behind him who actually may end up with the Dodgers anyway. But end of day, there's a lot of questions out there, but there are very few options where Juan Soto could go and thrive, and that is the biggest question for Juan Soto. Of course, they're saying the Giants, Mets, and Yankees, and the only ones that make sense are the two teams in New York. Giants don't make any sense at all. Corbin Burns. Now, he is another big free agent, and Corbin was everything the Orioles could have hoped he was for in the previous season. And let's face it, he gave the Orioles exactly what they were looking for, was that workhorse ace. And this guy really, really pitched well. In fact, he even threw a gem in his only postseason start for the Orioles, who are likely to do everything they can to keep this guy. Look, this guy's been a 4-time All-Star and a Cy Young Award winner. The guy's good. He's really, really good. And so, again, here is the Mets, the Orioles, and the Red Sox. So 2 out of 3 teams. And hopefully the Orioles will re-sign him. So there's this kid out of Japan called Roki Sasaki. And it's sort of predicated on his move by Yamamoto's move to the Dodgers. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto, his move to the majors caused a bidding war last offseason, and while the potential of Sasaki coming over from Japan will carry the same excitement factor, his age will prevent a similar free agent frenzy. Players younger than 25 who have not reached 6 years of service in a foreign major league or subject to Major League Baseball's international amateur signing bonus pool rules are setting on the cap for the contract. So, for example, Ohtani faced a similar situation back in 2017, signing with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Orange County, the Orange Curtain of Earth, longest name in sports, for about $2.3 million. And Sasaki, who has a 2.02 ERA over his first 4 seasons in Japan, will become one of the top available starters once he is posted. Of course, they say, well, potential fits, of course, the Dodgers, the Yankees, and they even threw the Padres in there. But the reality is, the Japanese hitters are not as good as Major League Baseball hitters. That's been a known fact for a very, very, very long time. I had my experience with Japanese baseball, as my other friends did as well. And sometimes you find a guy like Ohtani who kind of was a unicorn. But remember, Ohtani's on his 3rd surgery, 2 elbow surgeries. Now he's got a shoulder problem. Should this guy even be pitching? Who knows? I don't think he's going to pitch maybe but 2 more seasons at best in Major League Baseball. That's going to be it for Ohtani, and they'll stick with his bat. And then if he can learn how to hit an inside pitch up and in, he'll be very dangerous. Back here with the free agents from Major League Baseball in just a few moments. Here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call
714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. And welcome back to everybody on all of our network affiliates, including our friends that are independents as well, such as 99.1 FM, WDJY over in Atlanta. Thanks for joining us also in Auburn, Alabama. WAUD, it's home of the Atlanta Braves. Big hello to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500. KHKA, it's home of the 49ers, home of the Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, a big hello to our friends all the way across the country on all of our independents. Also, those watching on television on all our cable television affiliates in select markets, that is, as well as Hotel TV, plus Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, back to this free agent baseball business. We're talking about this Sasaki player, Roki Sasaki, that's out of Japan. And, he's had a 2.02 ERA over his first 4 seasons in Japan. But let me tell you something, folks. That's not against the average major league hitter. No, that's against the Japanese Baseball League players, which they have a few standouts. They have some good players, but the bar is significantly higher over here in Major League Baseball. If it was that much better in Japan, don't you think the Major League players would be doing what? They would be migrating to the Japanese Baseball League. Now, that makes a hell of a lot of sense, if you know what I mean. But no, that is certainly not the case. The Japanese players want to come here because they want to get paid, but also they want to play against the best. And even the Dominican Republic players, what do? They come here to the U.S. because this is the greatest show on a baseball field. I was going to say on turf, but then again, it's not necessarily always turf. So moving on with these free agents, Blake Snell is a very interesting one, and he had showed that he had the ability to pitch a little bit further into games in the past season. So he's already opted out of his contract with the Giants, of course, they have a new general manager, and, of course, a giant round of applause for Zach Manassian. Yes! So Zach's brother is Perry, who is the general manager for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And actually, a very good friend of the show just happens to be their dad, Zach Manassian Sr. Of course, he has a book out there called Lasorda University, and just check that out, folks. In fact, you can find it at thesportscircus.com under the partners, and you'll see the link for Lasorda University. It's a blue book, and it's about halfway down the page. And boy, it is good stuff, folks. If you want easy reading, fun reading, this is one of those reading books that you say, we like this because I don't have to stress and thinking too much. It's just pleasant. It's fun. It's funny. The stories are incredible. A lot of Tommyisms as well. But, of course, Zach Manassian Jr. is now the general manager for the San Francisco Giants. Now, again, the Giants don't really have the big bat to protect a guy like Juan Soto. So Juan's not going to go there. So what are they going to do? Are they going to try to find the next, latest, greatest, biggest name? Well, Blake Snell has already opted out of his contract. So I think that he's probably got a better shot to go back to the San Diego Padres or possibly the Texas Rangers. Their pitching staff's getting a little bit old, and the Rangers are a year removed from their World Series, and they played very pedestrian in the past season. So I would look to see Snell possibly fit in with either the New York Mets or the Texas Rangers. Now, moving on, Alex Bregman from the Houston Astros is another free agent that's sitting out there. Is ranked number 5 in this MLB.com ranking list. And Bregman's breakout seasons were, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And he hit 36-odd home runs, 100-plus RBIs, whatever, 970 OPS, and he finished up in the top 5 in the AL MVP voting, right? But guess what? He hasn't hit those levels in quite some time. And so his trade value, his stock value has gone down dramatically. As a matter of fact, he got off to a very, very slow start in the previous year, hitting 206, 4 homers with a 589 OPS through his first third of the season. And then he came back, obviously, doing a little bit better for the last 2/3 of it. But he really got off to a slow start. The Astros have talked about keeping him, but there should be a number of suitors out there trying to sign him. And one of those, what's interesting here is you look at the teams that allegedly are potential fits. They say the Astros, of course, the D-backs and Mariners. The D-backs don't want a guy on the downside of his career. I don't think that's really a good spot for him. Maybe Seattle, maybe the Cubs might be good fits for Bregman. Now, the next alleged superstar free agent, whatever, which I kind of like this guy, and I believe that Max Fried is a bit of Max Fried. This guy's 31, and he is good. Max Fried's one of those guys that you want on your team. Man, when he is dialed in, this guy's dealing. And Fried's one of the few homegrown Braves who never signed a long-term extension. And, of course, it's going to send him, unfortunately, to the free agent market following his second All-Star campaign in 3 years. This guy's a really good lefty, ERA just a tick over 3. And he had 29 starts, which actually was his highest for the last, 5 years or so. And, of course, Fried is a 3-time Gold Glove winner and one of the top starting pitchers available this winter. And I look at a guy like Max Fried, they say possibly the Cubs, Padres, and Rangers. I say the Rangers and possibly the Cubs because the Cubs they dealt off or they let go of Kyle Hendricks, and Kyle Hendricks ended up in Anaheim for Perry Minasian and the Angels. So Santander's another one of these guys that you scratch your head and say, well, why is he even on the free agent market in the first place? I mean, he's 30 years of age, but this guy's good. And he's been a solid player for many years. Of course, he had a career best in the past year. First-time All-Star, and he hit 44 home runs, which doesn't make Juan Soto's 41 home runs look that great, to be honest with you, because he even had more RBIs. OPS of 814, which was his highest in a 162-game full season. So as much as he's meant to the Orioles, Santander is likely to wind up elsewhere, as Baltimore has a wealth of young outfielders, that's for darn sure. And so they're going to probably say, well, I'll see you later. And maybe he might migrate to the Jays, Cleveland, which is a pretty good idea. I don't think the Phillies. I really don't think so. But then again, when you look at the expenditures for these teams, you scratch your head and say, well, what about Pete Alonso? I mean, look, he has been one of the most reliable power-hitting home runs, really, since he broke into the league many years ago. He's been around for, 5 solid seasons. And these guys averaging 44 homers a year in his first 4 full game seasons. Now, that's pretty darn good. The reason I say that, because you had that shortened season from that COVID pandemic thing. And he hit even 16 in those as well. So you ask yourself, a guy like Pete Alonso, where is he likely to land? You know, some people are saying the Astros, of course. Then he would pair up essentially with Yordan Alvarez, who is one of the better home run hitters in baseball. And, of course, there's the typical let's go from the Mets to the Yankees kind of a situation. And I don't really know if that is the right spot for it because there's already enough big personalities in New York. And when I'm saying New York, in the Bronx, I don't necessarily believe that they need another big personality. I believe that Pete Alonso is very good for the game of baseball. I just don't believe a Yankee fit is good. And I actually see Pete Alonso maybe catching on, maybe, with the Cubs because they're looking for a power hitter. And if he goes there, then you could probably say that you might see Juan Soto there as well. So there's your 3 and 4 hitters. And now you shake the lineup a little bit. And now you've got yourself some guys that can really hit the long ball in a park that's pretty easy to do what? To hit the long ball. That's how you got to look at that one. So anyway, the Cubs are probably a good fit for this guy. And I don't necessarily believe that he would be a good fit in Anaheim, but you never know what's going to happen with these teams, folks. You really never know because money will dictate basically everything, and it's too bad it gets that way. Now, I think an overrated value, I don't think that this guy is really a big name on the free agent market. They say Willy Adames is, shorty for the Milwaukee Brewers. I really don't think so. And so, yeah, he's a pretty good shortstop. But I don't know. I mean, is he at the Corey Seager, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts? No, he's not that. Maybe he's at the Dansby Swanson level. And Swanson signed a giant deal with the Cubs, which I still shake my head at that. It doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense. But let's face it. I mean, Willie did hit 32 homers and drive in 112. So maybe there's some big value there that I'm not seeing. But I don't necessarily believe that Willy Adames is the guy for a team to spend a couple of $100 million on. I mean, it sounds crazy to even imagine that, a couple $100 million. Jack Flaherty is another one that comes to mind for the Dodgers. And so Jack's first deal that he had with the Dodgers actually worked out really well. And let's face it, he bet on himself with a 1-year, $14 million deal with the Tigers, and it turned out to be really good because, let's face it, he had 18 starts with Detroit before being dealt to the Dodgers. And, of course, he went 6-2 with a 3.58 ERA in 10 regular season starts for them. And, of course, they got to the World Series. They won the World Series. And Flaherty should be able to land that multi-year deal that he struggled to find last season. Of course, the suitors apparently are the Dodgers, Mets, and Red Sox. Yet again, it's always the same teams. There are other landing spots for this guy, too. We'll see, but he's a hometown boy. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts. They can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Pandora. Where else? Oh, shoot. They can be found on Spotify. Sorry, folks. They can also be found on Stitcher and Deezer and YouTube. I mean, they're everywhere, folks. Seriously. Anyway, also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners. You know, one of those I mentioned a while ago, and that was the Lasorda University book by Zach Manassian, and that is a fun book. Folks, make sure you check that out. This segment brought to you in part by Lasorda University. Again, check it out at Chicago Food. Actually, you can find it on Chicago Food Favorites too, but you can find that at thesportscircus.com, thesportscircus.com, and look under partners, and you'll see the link there. And check that out, folks. And in fact, Zach can personalize each autographed copy for you if you would like. How do you like them apples? That's good stuff. And Zach is a very good friend of the show and just a wonderful guy. Very smart guy. Good dad. Has very productive kids. Couple of GMs in the family. Got a lawyer in the family. I mean, this guy's really, really doing a great job as a father and just as a human. Anyway, so all that said, sticking with baseball here, back to these free agents. And Tanner Scott is another one of those free agents. And he is a left-handed pitcher, in case you don't know. And he's developed into one of the best relievers in the game. Now, I'm a little weary of signing free agent closers, relievers. I mean, long relievers I'm okay with, but closers I have a real problem with. They never seem to pan out for the most part. I mean, you could take out of 100 of them, when they switch teams, very, very few, we'll say 95 out of 100 don't work out. I'll say recently Josh Hader certainly worked out, and you go back to other years where Aroldis Chapman has worked out, but very few others have really done as advertised. And that's a very disturbing thing. What I understand about pitching is that a pitcher should have a solid 3 pitches, and really a pitcher should come into baseball with 4 pitches. Now with these closers, they come in with, they throw hard and then they throw harder. And that's it, generally speaking. Maybe a slider, but mostly just fastballs. And I don't necessarily believe that a pitcher should come into the game with 2 pitches. Now, if you have variation of speed, because here's one thing. If you take a guy like Dylan Cease, who was with the White Sox, went to the San Diego Padres, and Dylan Cease is really a 2-pitch pitcher, but he has variation in speed, just like Lance Lynn. And so here's a guy that can have 2 pitches, but it'll vary from 5 to 10 to 15 miles an hour, which keeps the hitters in between, keeps them off balance. And that's why guys like Dylan Cease are very good. In fact, he threw a no-hitter last season as well. So again, here's this Tanner Scott. And yet they say, well, you know, he's a lefty. He had a 1.75 ERA, 22 saves, and 72 appearances. Well, let's face it. 22 saves out of 72 appearances. I don't know if those appearances were all save opportunities, but that number, in my opinion, is not very good. Yes, that puts him a lot atop the list of free agent relievers, but that's a pretty thin class if that's the case. I wouldn't give up on a bowl of soup for this guy. And, of course, given the need for reliable relief pitchers around the league, Tanner Scott should have plenty of suitors. And, again, I just see that as money that is good money after bad money in a lot of organizations, and they probably have guys that can throw strikes in their minor league systems that could be just as effective or close to it. Let's face it, 1.75 is good, but as a reliever, you should be in that Emmanuel Clase group because that guy is the best reliever in baseball, closely followed by Josh Hader. And so let's face it, if you don't have numbers like that, then you shouldn't be out there, or better yet, teams shouldn't be out there shopping for relievers that are not in their class. I think that's really the best way to say it. And, of course, it's the Phillies are in the middle of that, which their bullpen is an absolute train wreck. They just couldn't seem to hold on to any leads for the most part, which was the demise of the Phillies in the last season. And, of course, the Yankees are a suitor as well. Some people are saying the Blue Jays maybe, but on and on we go. Shane Bieber is a very interesting case for the Cleveland, I hate to say the Guardians because I always know them as the Indians. But anyway, Bieber's last season ended after just a couple of starts. Now, he is a Cy Young Award winner previously, but he did undergo that ulnar nerve surgery, but people call it the Tommy John surgery. I asked Tommy about that, and he gets mad. He's like, why does everybody associate my name, with something bad in pitching? Well, it's because of the surgery that he had from way back in the day. I think it's Dr. Andrews does the surgeries right now. He is the lead surgeon for those. But unfortunately, Shane Bieber went through that whole elbow situation, that whole problem. And of course, he could sign a backloaded, incentive-loaded deal, maybe for a couple of years as he comes back from surgery. Should the Guardians keep him? I don't know. I'd say no. But of course, it's the Rangers and the Reds. And I don't know why the Reds would jump into that race. The last time they got a pitcher from Cleveland, it was Trevor Bauer. And Trevor's a good pitcher, but he had some issues. And there may be some issues going from Cleveland to Cincinnati. I don't know what it is. But I don't think the Reds are a suitor for Shane Bieber. The Reds need something a little bit different, and the Reds don't have a bullpen either. So why would you take a guy that's coming off surgery and hope that he could be, unless they could get some kind of, home state discount because he still stays in the state of Ohio? I don't like the move. Not at all. Let him go to the Rangers or somewhere else, but the Reds, no way. I don't think that's a good fit at all. Christian Walker is an interesting one. Now, Christian Walker, of course, missed 32 games last season due to an oblique injury, which, a lot of players had that, but they don't talk much about it. But he still hit 26 homers in those 130 games, and he has third straight season with an OPS of above 800. This guy won a couple of Gold Gloves and, of course, is the best all-around first baseman currently on the market. It doesn't matter whether he's going to be 34 when the season starts. Making a long-term deal is less likely because of his age, but Christian Walker, man, when he hits him, this guy just hits him. He owns the Dodgers. In fact, it would be silly for Arizona to let him go. And, of course, the potential suitors are what? The Astros at first base, because they were counting on Jose Abreu, and Jose Abreu just completely fell off the map once he left the White Sox. And, of course, it's the Red Sox and Yankees that are looking, of course. That's what they do. Moving on, it's Nate Eovaldi. And Nate is 35 now and has a $20 million player option for 2025, though. So he earned $20 million as the player option, which he declined by throwing a combined 300 innings in the last couple of seasons after posting yet another sub-4 ERA for the fifth straight season. This guy is taking his chances in free agency, and Eovaldi has been an all-star twice in the last few years. Look, he's a proven postseason performer with a couple of World Series rings. So the Braves, the Orioles, and Rangers are the suitors, the Rangers to keep him. I think the Rangers should keep him. But I do believe that the Orioles may be takers as well because they're looking for that next big starter to go right along Corbin Burns. In case they lose Burns, they may have to settle for Nate Eovaldi. But the Braves are a good landing spot for this guy because you don't know what's going to happen with Spencer Strider coming off of injury as well for the Atlanta Braves. Now, Teoscar Hernandez likely is going to stay with the Dodgers. I don't think he's going anywhere, and I'm pretty sure that one's pretty much a done deal. So we're going to move past Teoscar Hernandez over to Michael Wacha. In fact, he did sign a 3-year deal with the Royals, so he's off the market as well. And he's 33, so I think Michael Wacha is going to be just fine over there. Now, Hae-Sung Kim is opting out of an $8 million mutual option for 2025 and a $2 million buyout. So that's basically going to be him leaving San Diego. And he won a Gold Glove a couple of years ago. And he is the second best shortstop available in the offseason, allegedly. That's allegedly. I don't really know, but he's pretty good. And the suitors, of course, the Red Sox. Again, Red Sox are suitors for everybody, apparently. The San Francisco Giants may keep him on the West Coast, and maybe the Atlanta Braves. Also, Carlos Estevez, that right-handed pitcher, he had a 2.45 ERA with 26 saves between the Angels and Phillies. He's out there available, and the Phillies may re-sign him, but the Royals and Yankees are looking at him. The Yankees need help in the pen for sure, and the Royals, they could use help too. Clay Holmes, the Yankees pitcher, well, let's face it, this guy is on a huge roller coaster, but he did get an all-star nod, and he's pretty damn good. But Holmes restructured, or better yet, he restructured yet resurrected his career with a pretty good finish. But this guy is available, and maybe Anaheim, the Orioles, or the Phillies. I think the Phillies are a better landing spot for this kid. And Kikuchi is another guy. He eats innings, but his ERA is pretty high, near 5. Rangers, Red Sox, Twins. I would say that the Twins would be the best suitor there. Gleyber Torres, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he is going to come right back with the Yankees, and he is a solid player. Also, when we look at those Red Sox again, Tyler O'Neill, maybe he might migrate over to the Red Sox. I mean, the change of scenery, well, it proved pretty well for him, who belted 31 homers, whatever, for the Red Sox. But then again, after a pair of down seasons with St. Louis, does he go back to the Red Sox? I don't know. There's so many question marks. Sean Manaea. Sean's a family member, and Sean is likely to re-sign with the Mets. I don't think he's going anywhere, even though he's opting out of a contract for next season. I think he's going to restructure, re-sign with the Mets. That makes the most sense. Back here in a few minutes on the circus, we're going to finish up with the baseball free agencies and go on from there. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at Chicago Food Favorites. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Folks, make sure you check that out. Just type it in, join the group, have some fun. Whatever you do, don't call pizza za. Oh no, that is a big fat no-no. Also, make sure that you post your favorite recipes and participate, have some fun, your favorite restaurants and so forth. And that was for the no za thing. No, pizza is pizza. Don't call it za. And of course, don't cut your pizzas into wheels, 8-piece wheels. Cut them into squares as God intended for you to do. You got to look at it that way, folks. All right, moving on. So back to the free agency situation here. Major League Baseball, Max Scherzer is one of those guys, and I have to talk about Max for a minute because you never really know what you're going to get with this guy. Look, he's 40 years of age. No question he is going to go to Cooperstown. But he's only made 17 starts since joining the Rangers at last year's trade deadline, going 6-6 with a 3.57 ERA, which is respectable. Now, Max was limited to only 43 1/3 innings due to back and hamstring injuries. Hamstring you can get over. The back one, that may be a chronic situation, but he believes he can still pitch at a high level when he's healthy. That's the trick, when he's healthy. Scherzer will obviously take a massive pay cut from the $43.3 million he earned last season. That is nuts in the grand scheme of things. I don't get it. I don't have to get it. But that is a massive, massive number. Nonetheless, when you look at $43.3 million, you say, well, where'd it go? They just kind of went and, right, show me the money. It went and vanished like a fart in the wind. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, this guy can help some rotations around the league. I mean, people are saying, well, maybe he's a fit in Atlanta, maybe with Milwaukee. And of course, there's the blasted Yankees again. But that's what MLB.com says. But where could he really make an impact? And does it have to be a playoff team? Can it be a team in transition? Well, he wants to play for a contender, but he already has World Series rings and stuff like that. So he already has that stuff. And the bigger question is, where would he be willing to go if he could still make really good money, but not necessarily be on a World Series team? So that leads me to a couple of options. And one team that sort of strikes me as an interesting spot, which likely would never happen, would be the Minnesota Twins. So the Twins play in a pitcher-friendly ballpark, first of all, just like the San Francisco Giants play in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. That's another landing spot that I think he could go to because the air is very heavy there. It's hard to hit a home run up there. So he may actually be a better fit in Baltimore because Baltimore has what? They have long home run walls. So that's a pitcher-friendly park as well. So those are the kind of places that he needs to go, not places like Wrigley Field or where the White Sox play at U.S. Cellular Field or Guaranteed Rate Field is what they call it now, whatever. The point is there are certain places that are good for him, certain that certainly are not good for him. Those parks in Chicago are meant to be hitters' parks. So I would not suspect him to land in a place like that. Maybe, I don't know, he may end up going, believe it or not, to one of the arch enemies of his current team. And I only say that because they are divisional teams, and that could be in Seattle. Now, Seattle would be an interesting spot. The problem is, look, Seattle's got the best rotation in baseball, but Seattle, for whatever reason, they don't hit the baseball. I don't understand it. So Max is going to have to go to a place where if he does have a mediocre outing, well, he's going to have to be able to withstand the long ball, and he's going to have a bigger foul territory. Yankee Stadium certainly doesn't have it. Yankee Stadium is a hitter's ballpark, especially with that short porch over there in right field. So that makes no sense. Milwaukee, they've got a dome. The ball travels pretty far there. Maybe a place, I'm going to guess, like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh or Cincinnati may work, but see, that's a dramatic step down for Max Scherzer, And psychologically, would he be in it, or would it just be a paycheck? I think it would just be a paycheck. So he's going to have a team that's sort of on the cusp. And the Twins were right there in the playoff picture all the way to the very end, right? So that may make a little bit of sense. Maybe the Kansas City Royals makes a little bit of sense too. I don't know. I mean, the ball does fly out of the yard there a little bit, but the Royals, they do throw some leather. And they've got the best shortstop in the game in Bobby Witt Jr. Arguably, well, I would say right now he's the best player in baseball from top to bottom, unless Ronald Acuna Jr. is healthy. Now, when he is healthy, he is the best player in baseball. But the bigger question is, can Max Scherzer go to a mid-range team with a shot to make the playoffs like Seattle or Minnesota or Kansas City? Or is he going to get signed by one of the big boys? I don't know. I don't think he's going to, because his payroll's way too much. He's going to have to take a serious haircut and play in his secondary or tertiary markets. And finally, Jurickson Profar. This is a very interesting character. This guy hit .300 for the San Diego Padres. Look, he's 31 years of age. 1 year, $1 million deal with the Padres last season proved to be one of the best signings of last offseason. Hit 24 homers, 85 RBIs, 839 OPS in 158 games. And this guy hit north of 300. He was leading the batting champion race for quite some time until, of course, Luis Arraez, his teammate, went and took it yet again. That's the third time Arraez took it in the last 3 years. And, of course, this time again in the National League, because he did it the previous year with Miami, and then he did it the previous year with Minnesota. And so 3 different teams, 3 different batting titles, a three-time batting champion. So Profar, he has to resign with the Padres. The Giants would love him up there for sure. In fact, I want to say he was a Giants prospect, but no, he actually was with the El Paso Chihuahuas back in the day. That's where I saw him play at the Las Vegas 51s right here in town at Cashman Field before the 51s, or the New York Mets AAA team. They switched here in Las Vegas, and they ended up acquiring the rights to the Oakland A's, and of course that would be the the Las Vegas Aviators, right? So sorry, folks. Sometimes, age kind of catches up to you a little bit. But the Aviators are the AAA affiliate for the Oakland A's. But, of course, the Oakland A's are moving here, but they're going to play the next 3 seasons up where the Sacramento River Cats play. And so that keeps them in the San Francisco market, so the people in the Bay Area could still watch them on TV. That's the reason that the Oakland A's did it, so they still have TV contract money. Once the stadium is built here on the site of the former Tropicana Hotel and Casino, then they actually dropped the name of Oakland A's, so now they're just the Athletics and the A's. And so when the stadium is done, they'll be known as the Las Vegas A's or Las Vegas Athletics. That's when they'll pick that name back up. But in the interim, Jurickson Profar would probably be best served to sign right back with the San Diego Padres over the Giants and certainly over the Phillies, because it just seems like the Padres are a really good fit, and he's got some leadership out there, which the Padres desperately, desperately need leadership. And I can tell you this much, folks, when it comes to baseball and leadership, the perfect case of a lack of leadership has been over the last several years would be the San Diego Padres. They've been loaded. Now, if they lose Profar, which I think would be an enormous mistake, then you're reliant upon Manny Machado as your big leader. And Manny is, in my opinion, I don't think he's very good for baseball. I think he is an egomaniac, and I don't think that he really incentivizes the players around him. And he's just, as I see it, and I've talked to Manny a little bit here and there, I think he's a great player, really a real special player. But as a leader on or off the field, I don't believe he's the guy. The Padres, if they were going to sign somebody, they need somebody to take those guys by the horns and say, hey, we need some real leadership on this team. And that's the one thing that will get the Padres over the hump. Because right now, they may say, well, we're better than the Dodgers. Yeah, last time I checked, it was the Dodgers winning the World Series. And San Diego was out golfing or fishing or whatever the hell the players were doing. So the Padres need serious leadership out of all of these free agents that I had mentioned. Scherzer would be a good leader for them. Manaea could go back there, but I don't think Sean's going to go there. I think Sean's going to re-sign with the Mets. I mean, who else could really be a good fit for the San Diego Padres? And see, this is the conundrum that these teams have. And so could Teoscar Hernandez? Yeah, but guess what? He's not going to go there because he's going to play for the Dodgers. Could Nate Eovaldi go there? Nate Eovaldi could go there. He's a fiery kind of personality. I like Nate. Could Christian Walker go there? Possibly, and go to first base. But Christian Walker, is he the big fiery guy? I don't know. I really don't think so. But moving on with the rest of the guys that we covered here, Willy Adames, yeah, he could replace Kim, but I don't necessarily believe that that's the answer. Pete Alonso could be the guy to bring leadership to the San Diego Padres. Max Fried could do it as well, but I think Alonso is a better fit. Alex Bregman could do the same thing. Bregman is one of those guys that could certainly do it. So it's a very short list, but I would really think that Alonso or Bregman are probably the two best suited free agents to lead the San Diego Padres past their stumbling point. Because right now, they're looking up at the Dodgers like everybody else. And they have to try to compete because the Dodgers are likely going to sign that new Japanese pitcher, Roki Sasaki, as well, just to make matters worse for the Padres. Because their Japanese pitcher, Yu Darvish, is, in my opinion, more like Yu Garbage. That's just my opinion. But ultimately, I mean, however you feel about that is how you feel. I can't help it. But nonetheless, I don't believe that the Padres are in a position to do a whole lot of buying, but they need to make one key purchase, and that has to be a guy just like a Pete Alonso. And don't be surprised if Pete Alonso doesn't sign with the San Diego Padres. No matter how much money the Mets could throw at him, the only way that Juan Soto goes there is if Pete Alonso stays there. Otherwise, who's going to hit behind Juan Soto? And that's how all this stuff kind of shakes itself out in the baseball business, because there is certainly a business side of baseball, and that's what we talked about today. All free agents, because you never know what's going to happen with these guys, because money tends to muddy the water just a bit. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station in about 23 hours. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.